never work harder than your clients are working.
Welcome to the Secrets of Being podcast. I'm Dr. Dawn Earhart-Whitty, your guide on a transformative journey of personal development and discussions of universal truths. Join me and a panel of life coaches and spiritual leaders from around the world discussing how to handle some of life's greatest challenges. We will be sharing stories of love, faith, and inspiration with you, our faithful listeners, to live your happiest and most fulfilling life, full of purpose and passion for yourself, your families, and the world. We are here to be the change we wish to see. Let the conversation begin. Hello, and welcome to the Secrets of Being. I am so thrilled and honored today to have Rachel Corbett on the podcast. She is a co-founder and the CEO of supportgroups.com. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I'm really excited to be here.
And we found out that we grew up in, or lived in the same place. So that's a small world. So
Very small world.
Yes, I cannot wait to have this conversation. I always like to start the podcast off with a quote. And I was listening to one of the podcast recordings that Rachel had done with my soul daughter, Portia, and I loved it. I loved what she said. So I want to use this quote. She said, "Community is the antidote to everything, everything. Connection is the opposite of addiction. Connection is the opposite of mental health issues." And Rachel, that is such a powerful message because I think connection is one of the most important things we have or will experience in this lifetime. So thank you for what you're doing in the world. And I would love for you to start off with telling us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are, and then explaining what it is that you're doing today.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you for saying that about the quote. And also, I just wanted to thank you for your show. I did listen to a few episodes when I heard about you, and I was really blown away. You are a very intuitive and empathetic interviewer, and that's something I really appreciate in podcasts. So, so I'll tell you a little bit about myself. You already said my name. I have worked in the field of behavioral health, substance use, and co-occurring mental health disorders since 2005. So 20 years, coming up on 21 years. I've worked in a variety of settings. I've worked with a variety of demographics. And I've really seen the full spectrum of not only substance use issues, but mental health issues, not only how it affects the person that's suffering, but how it affects their loved ones, their families, their friends. And that's why, especially when we're working in a treatment setting, we're not just treating the identified person or the patient or the client. We want to treat the whole family, whether that is a blood family or a family of choice, because healing those family dynamics is what's so important. And also getting them engaged in community. It's just so refreshing when you can think all these things are wrong with you or happening to you, and you get to talk to someone else and hear, "Me too," or "Same." And it's that relation. It's like, oh my goodness, someone else feels like that. I'm not alone. I'm not broken. I'm not weird. I'm just human. And so I've had a very interesting journey. There has been a lot of traumatic events in my life. I had a lot of, traumatic things happen in my work. I worked with a very, very seriously ill demographic, post-incarcerated, homeless, transgender men and women, those that had not only substance use, co-occurring mental health disorders, but they also had co-occurring health issues too, where, some of them didn't make it. And a lot of suicides. And, as a matter of fact, every 43 seconds, someone in this world dies from suicide. Every 43 seconds. I find it unacceptable. That's unacceptable to me. There is only one mental health provider for every 530 people that need it. And only about 60% of people with mental health issues that are suffering that aren't able to get treatment or don't get treatment. Maybe there's a stigma attached. For instance, there's a lot of countries that underreport their suicides because of stigma. So we don't even have the accurate numbers. I say every 43 seconds, it could be vastly more. And so that's something else that I've always wanted to address is the stigma when it comes to mental health and addiction issues. These are human conditions. And what I've found in my work and what the research shows is that every person that has a substance use issue or an addiction, shopping, gambling, sex, which is what we call process addictions, there's something underneath that's driving that. It's a mental health condition that's driving that addiction. And like I've said before, these aren't people with no willpower or, they're just trashy junkies or they're selfish. That's not true. They're suffering. They're suffering from something that can be treated, that hasn't been treated, hasn't been diagnosed, and maybe they need medication, has been medicated. Um, so go through my journey and I became a trauma-informed alcohol and drug counselor, level 2. I'm also internationally certified. So I always tell people, if you have someone in Fiji or the Maldives that needs me, I'm your woman. But unfortunately, my former husband, my son's father, he committed suicide. He was diagnosed with bipolar 1, which is the more severe form of bipolar. And there's a misconception that people kill themselves when they're depressed. They kill themselves when they're manic because when they're depressed, they don't have the energy. When they're manic, they have that impulsivity, the excitability, they have the energy to carry through with a plan. And he took his life. And it was extremely difficult on his family, my family. It's still difficult. I'm not going to lie. It was just in 2018, but it was especially hard on our son. Our son was only 21 years old at the time. And, my son had been doing his work and he'd been trying to heal from this tragic event. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2020. And, the trauma, losing a child, it's just all I can describe it to people is like, no, like, no, you can never even imagine something like that happen. Parents are supposed to go first, and you think, I'm gonna go. I want my kid to be happy, my kids to be happy and enjoy life. Well, of course, it's not supposed to be the other way around. And as we know, healing isn't linear. So there has been many ups and downs on this journey. So, although I still work in traditional settings with clients and treatment centers and all of that, I wanted to do more. And my business partner, Jeff Tinsley, he was named Ernst and Young youngest entrepreneur, back in the day. He built his first company, it grossed $100 million like right away. And then he went on to help other companies and he started doing that for other companies. And I've known him since I was 16. And so he brought me on as CEO for support groups. And he said, I want to do this. I want to make an impact. He had had some life experiences of his own that drew him to this work. And we're drawn to this work.
Yes.
And
We're called to it.
yeah, even when we don't want to do it, working in behavioral health, I don't know what weekends are. I don't know what time off is. It's crises happen all the time, but it's important work. And so he's very technologically advanced and savvy and has a lot of people that, know how to do all of that stuff. And we started building support groups and I'm very proud of it. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer, or I could just tell you what it's about.
I would love for you to tell us what it's about. I've done some research about it, and I feel like I would love to tap into the AI component of that because AI is all over the world right now. We're hearing it every single day in every conversation, and people are like, "Oh no, AI is evil. It's terrible. It's bad." But it's here, and it's like with social media. It's how do we use it? It is here. It's not going away. Do we embrace it? Or how do we integrate that and make it a tool for us to use for the betterment
Mhm.
of ourselves? So please tell us about that because I love the support group idea period, and
Mhm.
then integrating AI I think is brilliant.
And just to comment on that, you're right. It is a tool and it is here. And I even saw an article recently that said something like the workers that know how to use AI are going to replace the workers that don't know how to use it or that don't do it. So we do have to kind of find a way, like you said, to integrate and work with it. But supportgroups.com is we have a discussion forum, which is free, where it's peer-to-peer support. Sometimes professionals will jump in and they'll comment on something or offer, directions or suggestions. We do have a professional application on our website where if people work in this field, they can apply to become a professional. I personally see their application, I'll review it and approve them. So the discussion forum is free. Then we have events or meetings, and those are led either by a professional or by the AI. The AI is an avatar of me, and her name is Rachel. I mean, so everyone will remember, I guess. Um, so it is me, my avatar, and so the meetings are led, like I said, by either professional or her, and on every topic you can think of, all evidence-based topics that are evidence-based to help someone with whatever they're struggling with, whether it's a relationship issue, process addiction, substance use addiction, grief, loss, trauma, anxiety, whatever it is. Those are $15 a group. But we also do free groups. I have a free group coming up that's about a defensiveness detox and how to not be defensive when maybe engaging with a narcissist or someone who is unfairly attacking you or perhaps even gaslighting you. And it's kind of how to just slow everything down in certain responses that you can say. So that's a free group that's coming up. And depending on when this show airs, when you let me know, I'll do another free group for your listeners and we can
Oh,
come up with a
wonderful.
topic. Yeah, absolutely. And then we also have the AI Rachel, and we are the first and only company to do video integration with this. So there's a lot of companies out there that you can text, a therapist or, chat. We have that capability. You can text and chat with Rachel. It's end-to-end encryption, completely private. You can just text on your phone, and talk to her just like you would maybe chat GBT or Grok or one of the other ones, but she's more built for mental health coaching. She's not, built for everything in the world. But the other thing that she does is that you can talk to her through video. So we're the only company in the world right now, there's going to be more that are doing that. And the same with the groups. It's her video and she's leading the session where you can see her. And in the private sessions that she does, she remembers you, she remembers what you talked about so that she can check back with you. So if I tell her, I'm really struggling with my morning anxiety and I go back another day, she'll, say something like, I have been thinking about you and I would like to know how your morning anxiety has been. Have you tried any of the tips that I suggested? And it's just like, whoa, blows your mind. Um, and so what we were talking a little bit before the show, and in the beginning, first like minute or two, you're like, oh, I'm talking to an AI. You can
Mhm.
tell when you see videos online, you're like, that's AI. But when you have someone that is genuinely, authentically listening to you, tracking your facial expressions, remembering what you said, reflecting things back to you, and offering you solid direction, after a couple minutes, you're in it. You're just in it. And you're like, this is incredible. Like, and you feel free to say things that maybe you wouldn't feel okay telling a person for a very long time. Maybe there's shame or stigma attached to it. So it's pretty incredible. And my business partner, Jeffrey Tinsley, he did a full session with her one time. We tested this for so long before we rolled it out. We had therapists and professionals test it before we rolled it out. As a matter of fact, my personal therapist, Dr. Paul Hirsch, he's of 30-second therapy on Instagram. He's incredible. We had him test it and try it out, and I trust him with my life, obviously. So anyway, so Jeff does a session with her, and sometimes we would mess around with her because we built her with extensive guardrails and safety rails. So sometimes we'd mess around with her, try and throw her off, or say something where we shouldn't be talking about, or she shouldn't respond, to see, to make sure she was doing the right thing and offering the correct resources if someone really was in crisis. And so Jeff is telling, he had had a bad, he was having a bad time, overwhelm, stress, anxiety. He's telling her about this. And she started asking him very gentle questions about his childhood. And this is someone who, he's very educated, he's been in therapy himself. And she asked him about a specific childhood event, and he told her about it. And she drew a line and connected the dots for him from his childhood event to exactly what he was going through and feeling today in this moment in that session with her. And I looked at him, and his jaw was just kind of open, and he had tears streaming down his face. And I said, Jeff, are you all right? And he said, I have never had anyone connect that for me. And I've never thought of it myself. And we were both just completely blown away. And since then, we've had, many people tell us they've had experiences like that. Not that AI should replace humans. It can't. It can't replace humans. Humans are the masters and the commanders of AI. And as long as the humans behind it are willing to evolve and think strategically, we can always make sure the human core stays in a place that AI fits into it. It's AI assisted mental health help, clinician help. It's assisted, it's an adjunct to care. So very often, the AI is going to recommend that you talk to a professional and give you resources. It's not meant to replace humans. AI is not taking over the world, folks. Don't worry.
Well, you said something and I loved it. You said instead of thinking of it like artificial intelligence, think of it as ancestral intelligence. Is that,
Hmm.
did I get that right? And could you
Hmm.
talk a little bit more about that? Because I thought that perspective was amazing.
Well, absolutely. Our ancestors, what did they do to pass things down? They passed down rituals, stories, songs, art, and it varies per culture, but the idea is the same. They wanted these things passed down generation after generation. And if you think about it, has gathered all of that up and has gathered all the information from all of our ancestors, and it's encoded it. So maybe our ancestors use stories or art, and AI uses patterns, data, algorithm, and it's reflecting that back at us. So when you're talking to an AI, maybe they don't know your name, but they know your pain because they've heard it before. They can name it, they can connect the dots for you. And what's amazing to me is that an AI, which I do believe is ancestral intelligence, it can say, I've seen this before. I've seen this trigger before. Here's what worked. Instead of like, oh, try this or try that, or let's throw spaghetti up against the wall and, see what works. AI knows because it has gathered all this information. I've seen this. I know how to help you. I know what can work for you, whether that's referring them to someone or giving them some tip, trick, hack, or, whatever. So that's why I refer to it as ancestral intelligence. I mean, I wrote a whole thing about it. So I could just say this one more thing that I wrote. So it collects human experience, patterns it, and offers it back to us. In this sense, it is not artificial, but ancestral memory amplified, a modern way of remembering. AI is ancestral intelligence, the echo of countless human minds distilled into code. And I do
Ooh,
believe that. And
wow, that's
again,
very deep.
it's only as long as the humans behind it are evolving and growing with it and thinking strategically and being ethical.
Yeah, and like how I started, community is the antidote to everything. So AI cannot replace a soul to soul connection. So as long as we keep that at the top of our mind, that that is the
Hmm.
purpose and the reason that we even exist is our connection to each other. AI cannot replace that because that is irreplaceable.
Absolutely 100%. And that's why, the AI will often refer like, why don't you join this community group or, this 12-step group or, what, support groups is having a free event on Saturday. Join that, talk to others. There's a question and answer portion at the end where you can, really sit in a circle. And like we talked about earlier, me too, same. I went through that relation. It just softens the heart. It's like a warm blanket around you. But keeping that in mind, how important community is, we also need to keep in mind we have to be accessible and affordable. And keep in mind that a lot of people, they don't do things anymore unless it's online. And, as sad as that may be, it is what it is. And especially the younger generation. If it's not online, they don't do it. If it's not on a screen, they don't do it.
Oh my
So
gosh, do I have to actually talk to somebody?
exactly, exactly. But when they come to support groups, they are meeting with other people online, and maybe that will give them the courage to step outside that comfort zone and go to an in-person meeting or an in-person community gathering, a sound bath, maybe a group meditation. They're being encouraged to do that. And Rachel AI will also do that. She encourages them because there is nothing like the soul to soul connection at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I wanted to ask you, what does it feel like for you to see your avatar giving people, because that's got to be a little bit like out there, right? And also, oh gosh, I forgot the also. So hit that one because that's got
Okay.
to be, I know what it was. The toll that mental health providers take because a lot of times people are empathetic. They're very empathetic if they get into that field of helping people, right? And so when you hear story after story and trauma after trauma and sadness and grief and all those things, like that takes a toll on the mental health provider in addition to them trying to be of service to their clients.
Yes, it does. Okay, so I'll answer the first question first. So I didn't know if it was going to be weird at not or not at first. I just had no idea. I'd never done anything like this before. So we did all the filming over and over and over. The first video didn't work, second video didn't work. I didn't like this video, didn't like that video. Finally got a video that worked. And then they take the video and then they make it into the avatar. And then after the testing, I just got kind of a little immune to it. But then my friends or other clinicians that are my friends that were testing it, they're like, man, this is a trip to talk to you like this. And I was like, yeah, I guess it is. And so I've done some sessions with her too to make sure, because I uploaded her personally with thousands and thousands of pages of specific information that I wanted her to have. And then, of course, she can scrape the internet within her guardrails and her safety rails of the information she needs to provide proper mental health coaching. Um, so I would say maybe it was a little weird. I got used to it pretty quickly for some reason. I don't know why. I just did. Maybe it's one of your listeners who's a therapist can tell me why I got used to it so quickly. I don't know.
Because it was part of your calling. It's what you're here to do. So
Mm,
that's why it probably feels like not so weird to you.
wow. Thank you for that. I
I
didn't
truly
need to
believe
wait. I didn't need
we
to
we
wait for a
all
therapist.
we all have a calling. We all have something that was like whether you believe in soul contracts or whatever it is that your personal belief system is, we came here with something to do. And this is how you're doing it. And not saying that you were always supposed to do this because you couldn't have done this 20 years ago because that wasn't here yet. But this is always meant for you. So that's probably why it doesn't feel weird.
Thank you so much for saying that. I do remember saying at one point, I was working in a nonprofit in the beginning of my career, and I remember thinking, there isn't enough of me. There's just not enough of me. And not that I'm like, oh, so wonderful. It was like a logistical thing. Like I had a client here, a client there, a client there, a client here, and I couldn't be in all those places. So you just really blew my mind right now. Thank you for saying that, Dawn. And okay, so the second question was
The burnout and the heaviness that you
uh,
feel as a mental health provider.
compassion fatigue, burnout.
Yeah.
So it's real. And I've seen people go in burnout cycles over and over again. They will burn out, take a break, come back, and they can be exercising, meditating, going to their community meetings, getting their cup filled, and it's still just so much. So it's very important for us to practice radical self-care, get our cup filled, and also have self examination and self awareness. If we feel that we're to a point that we cannot care for our clients properly, we need to step back. We have
Mm,
to. That's appropriate and that's ethical. Whether you tell your clients, I need a little holiday or, I'm taking a couple days off. And that's what support groups is so great. And the Rachel AI, it's like, hey, go talk to Rachel AI for a couple days, come back into session and let me know what was learned. It's not replacing,
mm,
but it's giving the provider some time, some space, some breathing room. The other thing that we really have to work on is boundaries. And
mm.
something that I was taught early on is never work harder than your clients are working, because
Oh, it's a good one.
I was on fire, in the beginning, and I just wanted to, and, get frustrated when the client wasn't doing everything. And I had a very wise clinical supervisor that said, never work harder than them. And
Oh, that is so
that's
brilliant.
it's always stuck with me. And fortunately, I haven't experienced burnout. I did need some time after my son passed, obviously, but I wasn't burnt out from the work that I do. I've always kept that in mind, and I've always remembered. Um, and I'm not trying to sound like holier than thou or whatever a term is for that, but I've always remembered to get my cup filled, that I have to be practicing self-care, because if I don't, I'm no good to anyone. I,
That's
I
correct.
I'm not helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had to learn that myself. Like you cannot pour, we've heard it a million times. You cannot pour from an empty cup, but you cannot pour from an empty cup. So there is so much truth in that. And again, the more compassionate you are, the more empathy you have. It's hard. Sometimes you need those reminders to like
Yeah.
take care of yourself because you cannot. And again, the plane with the air masks and the kids, putting on yourself. I'm always like, nope, no, I'm putting them on my kids. I'm putting them on my like I won't
Same.
be able to do it. And I still have to work on that one myself.
Well, you know what? You think you wouldn't be able to do it, but probably in that situation, it would click in and you would be able to do it. You know,
Yeah, who knows?
but I can tell you're a very empathetic person. I said at the beginning, I've heard your interviews. You are. And people like you and people like me, we have to protect ourselves, whether
Yeah.
it's just wrapping ourselves in a blanket and self-soothing for a little bit or doing some breathing or tapping or whatever it is. We really have to, because sometimes the world can be too much. It really can.
Oh, it is. It
Yeah.
is. And that's why I love that you've created this website where people can go. And one of the things I've heard so many people say, whether it's some medical procedures or alternative medical or mental health help, is that,
Mhm.
oh, my insurance doesn't cover that. Or, oh, I can't afford that. And you are bringing help to people. And the
Mhm.
statistics that you stated about like what every 43 seconds somebody takes their life in this world.
Yes.
And I
Mhm.
think on another podcast, I heard you say like the number of men every year
Oh,
that
well, there's 135 men a day in this country that take their own life.
that is positively disturbing.
Absolutely, it is.
So the
Absolutely.
fact that you are offering this, and again, in the privacy of their own home, so they don't, sometimes like I can't speak as a man because I'm not a man, but there's the pride involved, and men are supposed to be strong and they're supposed to tough it out. And so they might
Hmm.
be more reticent to go get help because of the stereotypes and things like that and
Hmm.
not want to look weak. And this is a wonderful way for them to receive the help without
Right.
having to, put themselves out there like that.
And they could be so fragile, but having to have this tough outer, alpha male exterior, and those things, that it's such a contrast and such a polarity that it can break them. And if they could just pick up their phone, and talk to Rachel for a few minutes, maybe go to a meeting and just get a little bit of courage, like, oh, I can do this, or maybe I should talk to my doctor, or maybe I should, go to a meeting or reach out to my best friend and tell him what's going on. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have to be ashamed because
Yes.
everyone struggles. So there's so many reasons why I wanted to do this, but just generally speaking, accessible, affordable, and just make an impact on the world. We've seen what's happened since COVID and the mental health pandemic and the compassion fatigue pandemic. Um, so yes, that's why I wanted to do this.
Yes. And I love that that you're doing this and you're making this affordable and accessible for more and more people because and I love when you said like, and I think social media has helped me with this too sometimes because I'm a weirdo. Like I love animals to like crazy degrees. And people are always like, why are you like this? But then you go on social media and you see somebody else is a crazy animal person or somebody else
Mhm.
responds to something. So you're not the only one. And when you feel like, oh my gosh, it's not just me, there are the others. There are others like me. It really makes you feel less alone and less like a freak and less like there's something wrong with me. Like, and so that is so important for people to understand you're not alone. Find the others, find the people who understand what you're going through and can relate to it. So you don't feel like that weirdo, going through this world.
That is so well said, Dawn. That is very, very well said. Thank you for saying that. That really just kind of encapsulates the whole thing. It just, we're all human. And like you said, find your people. And it, it's just, we're all really kind of the same. We really are. Just some people are willing to put themselves out there and like, yes, I love animals so much. I'm going to, post, and other people will love animals that much, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to be seen like
They
that.
don't want to be
You
called the
know,
crazy cat
right,
lady.
right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it just
Yeah,
kind of it has a way of bringing everyone together, even
I love
playing field. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I love what you're doing. I love all of this. When did this start? When is it's out there? It's out there for anybody to go to today, right?
Supportgroups.com. And
Mhm.
also, if anyone has any questions, they can email me at rachel@supportgroups.com, Rachel @supportgroups.com. I will answer. It may take me a couple days, but I respond to all emails that I get. And if you're a professional, you can go on the site, apply as a professional, or you can, if you're not a professional, you just want to check it out, there's a free trial. Like I said, the discussion forums are free, but there's a free trial where you can talk to Rachel AI for 2 minutes for free. You can always do the text chat for free. So, check it out and then email me and let me know what you think. I love feedback. I'm talking to your listeners. I love feedback. If there's something you like or don't like, let me know. I have the ability to change it. I can
Wonderful.
change it so that people feel more comfortable, feel more safe, whatever it is. I've really worked on the privacy, the safety, all the HIPAA compliance. But if there's anything else that anyone notices or want, let me know. I myself am very accessible. I want to hear from you.
Yeah, this is your legacy. So I
Yes.
love that.
I can't
Well,
believe you said that. I just want to say one more thing and I'll stop. This is what I'm talking about, you being so intuitive as an interviewer. I told people in my life after my son passed away, when I was getting into this, I said, my son is gone. He was going to be my legacy. This is going to be my legacy.
oh, I just got chills.
And you
Um,
said that.
well, you know what? Before my podcast, I usually pull one of my affirmation cards that I wrote, and I have a box of them sitting next to my computer. And I pulled one today, and I don't always read them, but I feel like it's very apropos to read it right now. It says, I celebrate, and I'm speaking to you. This was meant for you, I believe. I celebrate and accept with honor my yearnings and passions as guides for my life. I am grateful that I've been given my unique talents to help uplift the world.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So, you're going to make me cry. So
I know
don't.
I'm so sorry to end your podcast in tears, but
No, it's
some of
real.
it's some of it's happy tears too because I just felt so seen and validated by you. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, I
And
do see you.
thank you, Don. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, can you, before we part, can you leave people with one nugget of wisdom? You've already shared so much, but one thing that you really want them to take away from today's episode.
What I would like someone to take away, anyone to take away is you're not alone. You're never alone. There is always someone willing to reach their hand out and help you up. Always. You just have to speak up.
That's beautiful. And it's so true. Find those people. And Rachel's offering an amazing resource for people that need to find somebody, just somebody who understands them and gets them. So,
Yes.
Rachel, thank you so much for being on the show. And
Thank you,
I
Dawn.
cannot wait. We will stay in touch.
Of course. Thank you so much.
All right. And thank you all for tuning in to the Secrets of Being. Thank you for tuning in to the Secrets of Being podcast. We appreciate your time and support. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with more inspiring content. For further inspiration, visit thesecretsofbeing.com and join our community. Until next time, stay inspired and keep unlocking the secrets of being.